Months after the deadly KwaZulu-Natal floods, scores of victims remain homeless. Over 450 people were killed in the disaster. For the latest on the living conditions of people on the ground, we cross on over to Natalie Malgas, who is in Durban. And of course, we know, Natalie, that some are still housed in shelters with very poor living conditions. What are you witnessing where you are?
I'm actually standing at a community hall in Kwandingezi here in Durban, Dudu, where we heard initially there were around 160 people being accommodated here, and now they're down to about 41 flood victims, mostly children, minors who are living here with their parents. The conditions haven't really improved all that much as many have already moved out and been able to be accommodated with family members and elsewhere in other temporary residential units. Things haven't improved here. We heard from some of the flood victims that issues of privacy and hygiene are still top of mind for them. And really, the frustration is growing because they've had government officials visit them on the odd occasion. Home Affairs was here to try and get them up to date with the documents that they lost in the floods. But there's been no feedback from any of the officials who've come to take their details and have conversations with them. In terms of the timeline on when they would be rehomed and when that is likely to happen, they had officials from social development, from public works and all of the housing authorities meet with them too, but they haven't come back yet to give any updates on that matter. In fact, we spoke to one of the flood victims, Rory Sang, a little earlier, and this is what she had to say.
People are still frustrated and sad. So it's very sad to stay here. So it's not something that they were used before. They used to be in their homes, do whatever they do. Others, they lost their businesses. So ever since they come here, they don't do anything. They just wake up and sit and sleep, wait for the people to come and donate them with food. Sometimes they go to bed without food. So it's very difficult for them to be here.
And what are the conditions of those little ones who are also caught up in this situation?
We heard from a mom a little earlier too, saying she's got a 10-month-old baby and a daughter with special needs. And it's the issues around privacy and hygiene, keeping her children safe and comfortable, but also being able to change the nappy of her infant or trying to fix him a bottle. Yes, they have access to sanitation facilities, but these are all shared facilities. They, when it's load shedding, don't have access to electricity. So it's really cold here in the community hall. They have a shortage in donations for food, for gas, and really just to touch back on what Rory Sang said in that clip a little earlier, they feel ashamed to have been dumped here, as many of them have explained, and quite frankly forgotten by the authorities. In fact, of when rehomed and where they will be rehomed, we are hearing from the local councillor that now that process has stalled pending the release of a parcel of land that will ultimately come from the local traditional leader here in the community. So with no timelines and no absolute certain dates, the residents here say they feel forgotten.
For people who are staying here, they are now very tired of people coming here to ask them, what you gonna do? What we gonna do for you? Doing that, they come here and ask them something, then they don't come back with a feedback whether do they settle for this, that. So it's a shame for them. So they even now in the morning when I told them you want to shoot, they said why? Because we don't do anything for them.
Natalie Malgas, thank you very much for that update.